So, welcome today. I thought today instead of doing like a real prescribed mastermind, that instead I would start a unintentional gang fight by by saying, "Hey, let's talk about emotional state management." And this can be a really loaded conversation because there are some people out there that think that they are in perfect control of their emotions, and there are other people that think that they are not in control of their emotions. And that would be the two polar ends. And it is my presupposition that we live in between those two things. So just for fun, uh, pick something that makes you crazy. Okay, like people driving slowly, you know, in the right hand or in the far left hand lane of the freeway. Uh, One of my favorites, and my lovely bride discovered this about me. When I'm at a stoplight, I put everybody and every car around me to work for me. And
Oh yeah, this is cute.
I'll stop and I'll look at my phone and I'll look at emails and stuff. And when the light turns green, I don't have to worry about that because some helpful person behind me is going to like put both feet on their horn
So we gotta
and
wait for
I'll go,
somebody to go.
okay. And I'll wave at them and drive off.
And you'll go, thank you.
So thank you. Yeah, I'm that guy. It just
Yes, you are.
it amuses me to no end to do that. Now I don't do it all the time, but if somebody who is in a hurry is going to honk at me, my response is going to be maybe they should
Thank
have left
you.
earlier.
That's his response.
Yeah, thank Okay, so think about something that, as always, I don't want you to pull out your Mambo one where you're going to have to like take a nap after this call because you're so wound up about. But just think about something that you find annoying or you find irritating. All right, and now let's kind of rate that annoyance. Are you resourceful? Or are you neutral?
What
Or
do
are
you mean? Are you resourceful? What does that mean?
okay, well, that's a great question. Let me do the third point. Resourceful, neutral, or unresourceful. Okay. So when you get aggravated, are you able to do things like, I feel aggravated. Is there a positive intention about this? I feel aggravated. Oh, well, neutral would be, oh, well, it's not important. If you're aggravated or being in an unresourceful state, that stress, that doubt, or that negativity can take over, part or all of your day. So think about that for a second. So when you get annoyed, what happens? And I'll start with you, Raymond, because your eyes shifted left.
Mm.
Okay.
Well, generally, I've gotten a lot better about this in recent months is when I'm annoyed, I catch myself and see immediately how I can reframe it to not be annoyed.
What if you don't have time for that?
Uh, if I don't have time for that, I must be in a pretty big hurry because I'm usually fairly quick about it.
Hmm.
Um, but generally, I just do something to avoid the annoyance. That would be my
Okay.
first stage.
Hmm. Cool. Lily?
Well, of course, it's contextual.
Of
Some
course.
things irritate me a little bit. Some things irritate me a lot. And
Hmm.
some things make me insane.
Yeah, not a lot of gray in that. Yeah. Okay. So when you're in yeah, when you're in those things and you said some are, say it again, some of them are kind of irritating.
Yeah, just a little, and then yeah. So which one do you want to know about?
Pick one.
The one that makes me fucking insane? You know what
That
it
one.
is.
Yeah, that sounds like a good
Getting
one.
receipts in, trying to get receipts in for the doctors.
Okay.
God, I hate that.
Okay. And when that happens, would you call that an unresourceful state?
Oh, yes.
Okay, just checking. All right. So here's a quickie exercise. Uh, I'm trying to be funny, so just remember. All right, so if you're in a like super angry, unresourceful state, after you're willing to set the axe or chainsaw down, you might consider just taking 2 minutes. Hey, Helena, take 2 minutes and write down what it is that you're feeling. Articulate it, get it out of you and onto paper. And this may or may not be a great exercise for you. I'm just going to throw out several exercises. Okay. So, uh, and Helena, you weren't here. Pick a something that, uh, that it
Irritates you.
annoys you, aggravates you, makes you angry, etc. Not the biggest one, okay, but just a small to medium size one, okay, and just like grab a pen, grab your keyboard or whatever it is, and jot down a recent example of that. And when you're finished, writing down that example, what I want you to do is assign, one of three things. Were you resourceful? Were you neutral? Or were you unresourceful? So just for fun, Helena, what did you pick?
Okay, I picked my own response to, well, I picked the situation where my boyfriend absolutely went into himself and
Hmm?
went very selfish when responding to something, and it was tonal as opposed to anything else. So it
Mhm.
was my response to a tone was very
Mhm.
unresourceful.
Okay. And I find it interesting, simultaneously wonderful that you used the word response versus react,
Yeah.
because that's one of the things I want you guys to take from this is that we all have, and maybe it's better if I clarify this. Okay. I 100% believe, and I'm open to discussion, that we have no control about how we feel. Okay? If you're walking through the house at night barefooted and you hook your toe on whatever it is, you don't have any control over that pain response. Your toe is busy on Craigslist trying to find a new place to live. What I do believe that you have control over is what your response is. And, some people have never considered that they have control over their response.
Mhm.
Maybe they've never thought about it. Maybe they've never read any books, or maybe it was not modeled when they grew up. Okay. How many people here grew up in a family where nobody talked about anything? Like they talked about the weather. They did not talk about politics. They did not talk about child rearing. They did not talk about money. They did not talk about the weather.
Well, not to the kids, I have to say that because I'm sure mom and dad did. They just never did around us.
Yeah. Kids were not allowed to do any of those things, and consequently, we modeled that behavior in which we were supposed to be stoic.
Mm.
Okay. There's another male human on this call. Have you ever heard this one-liner, Raymond? Big boys don't cry.
Yes,
And it's a
I am
song.
familiar.
Yeah. And to this day, to 2026, we live in an incredible electronic age, and they are still daily teaching young men, big boys don't cry. Okay. And it's not so much at what they are saying, it's what they're not saying by implication. It is if you are displaying emotion, you are not manly or you are not male. Okay. And they have lots of other terms that go along with that and stuff. And I think it would be wonderful if we would take a different tact and teach young men and young women everybody has emotions, everybody has feelings. Do you have the words for them? I think that that's one of the things that took me the longest to understand is we have lots of words in the English language that describe what we're feeling. But that was never, I mean, that was never modeled to me or not. It was never even discussed. As a matter of fact, when I started challenging the status quo in my family, the number one thing that I was getting was, why are you causing problems? Why are you stirring things up? Okay. All right. So here's another exercise. Privately, I'm not going to ask, I'm going to ask, but you don't have to tell me anything. Identify two of your top triggers that drop you into an unresourceful state. Plus, before you get started, plus one anchor that you already have that puts you into a resourceful state. One of my favorite resourceful states is I have playlists. I can put on a specific playlist and I'll be like, boom, I'm in a good mood. So when you're done, look up, wave your hands. There's one, there's two. Take your time, Lily. I'm not in a hurry. Those are some nice blue bonnets you got there.
Hmm. Too bad they're not real.
Yeah. Well, shh, shh, shh. Helena, have you ever been to Texas? Ah, okay. One day, one day, real soon, in the springtime,
Okay.
okay, before it gets hot, okay.
We're in a heat wave right now, so I understand.
Yeah, well, we're only going to be 89 today. I mean,
Well, we had a guy at work that was just telling me a minute ago before I got kicked out of Zoom that, okay, that could be one. Um,
mm,
that it was 105 in India.
mhm,
105.
uh-huh.
Golly,
In
I didn't know what that.
Calcutta, in Calcutta, India, which is the birthplace of yoga, it can during their summer season be 120 to
Oh,
130 degrees
oh no.
Fahrenheit.
That's
That
when you can
that that
see
just
it,
sounds insane.
when you can see the heat in the
Yeah,
air, when you walk out, because
exactly.
we've done that
Okay,
before.
Yeah.
we have a
Mhm.
third less words. That's interesting. Would you would you say that aloud so the people watching the video will know that?
Oh, yes, sorry. So in
No.
response to the previous conversation, around words,
Hmm.
in Denmark, we actually have literally a third less words than we do in the English language for expressing
Mhm.
anything. So you can imagine that the word sad
Oh,
is used for all of the words that we would use for sad, whether that's disappointment through to despair. So it's really, it means that the people themselves are incredibly literal and fairly rigid because we don't have
Mhm.
language to provide us with the fluidity, which is really
Right.
interesting.
Hmm. Just an interesting side note. Did you know in German they don't have a word for unconscious? Like you
I
got
did not
conscious
know
mind,
that.
unconscious mind, they don't have a word for
wow,
that.
that's
That
interesting.
explains
So
a lot.
yeah, so when people are talking about doing hypnosis where you're communicating with the conscious mind and then the unconscious mind, they're looking at you like you're insane because they don't have words for it. Okay, so just for fun, Raymond, I'm going to start with you because you're directly in my field of view. Okay, give me a trigger, give me an anchor.
The triggers are somewhat difficult to remember because I realized, anchored my resourceful state to the feeling of annoyance itself.
Hmm,
And so when that spikes, I immediately start looking
that's
for
cool.
solutions of how do I avoid this? So it's difficult for
Have
me
you
to
written a
remember.
book on this yet?
I have not, no.
Are you going to do a mini course on this? Because take the hint, sir.
Seriously, that's genius.
I would pay my $97 to attend your 1 day, 3 hour course.
That is
It's
genius.
a brilliant, brilliant idea. Mark Cunningham, I'm sure almost everybody's heard of that fellow.
Hmm.
Okay. He does resourceful states and then creates a ring. And then you take the ring and you make copies of it. Okay. So I'm sitting at my desk, so I take one of those resourceful rings and throw it down so that when I slide into my chair, boom, I'm in my resourceful state. He
Okay.
puts sourceful states and throws them up on a door frame like a hobbit hole. So as you're walking through them, and I can actually feel the hairs standing up on my arms. It's so Raymond, really, really take the hint, do a class on this. If you need help chunking it down, you let me know.
I
Okay.
will. I shall make a
That's
big note of that.
awesome. That is awesome. Lily, do you have a trigger and a resourceful state?
Well, the trigger, I was going to do the receipts, but that's too much.
Okay.
I just go all off on that shit. It makes me so mad. But
And do
anyway,
the people that live in your house, do they go hide at the other end of the
I don't
house?
know. Do you?
Yes.
I wouldn't know. I'm in here cussing my brains out.
Oh,
Uh-uh.
that's funny.
Nope.
Really hate that. But anyway, so I'll do what was the other one?
Kick it
Oh,
on.
whenever I'm being like texted or pinged or whatever by multiple people and I'm trying to answer one and then the other one, that irritates me.
Mm.
And I don't have a trigger. I mean, I don't have a
A resource state?
anchor. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I've never thought about it.
Okay. Perhaps we need to create one of those.
Maybe.
Okay. Here. Here's an interesting challenge. Okay. Anybody else here got kids besides Lily and I? Bummer. So this resource state will make no sense to you. but Lily, what I want you to do is I want you to do this. Okay? Because
Mm.
I personally have held every one of my four daughters seconds after they were born, and not trying to be gross, but I'm holding a baby and they still have an umbilical cord that has not been detached yet.
Mm.
And when I am in that state, I'm probably a lot easier to get along with than in a normal state. So that would be one idea, Lily. The other one was later on in life, because you live with me, I can help you create a resource state. But we've done some fun stuff. Do you happen to remember a time where you and I would the only time I've ever done karaoke?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Now,
It was the only time I ever did it either.
exactly. Now, I would like to imply there could have been, I'm not saying there was, but there could have been drinking involved.
You
Ah.
think?
Okay. Could have been. And to me, the fun part is we were awful. We were so awful that a fellow got up out of the crowd and came up there to sing with us to help us out. And you know, it was just hysterical. And anyway, that's kind of what you're looking for, Lily, is something that you can like create a trigger or create an anchor so that when you have when you have unexpectedly found yourself in an unresourceful state, that you can fire that anchor.
Well, I can tell you the baby wouldn't work with the
Okay,
three people trying to talk to me at once.
okay,
I would say, excuse me, let me do this. Yeah. So it'd have to be something a lot less obvious or,
okay.
a
But you
lot
do
less.
you do need something powerful that is going to collapse that unresourceful state and move you swiftly into neutral.
Hmm.
Because like making the jump from I'm looking to purchase flamethrowers on eBay over to dancing wildly. It might be too large of a jump. So and depending on the state that you're in, let's say that you're angry, okay? What's the next step up from angry? Irritated, okay? What's the next step up from irritated? Annoyed. Okay, or perturbed, or whatever word that you want to do. So the next step up from there would be neutral, ambivalent. It's like, yeah, that happened. Who cares? Okay. And then you might have multiple steps to get from here to crazy happiness. It just depends on who you are and how often you have a tendency to go down here or up here. All right. So An another one more analogy, Lily, is
Let me say something real quick
sure.
to Raymond. You said you hadn't considered doing that before, but you just told us that you created that trigger. I mean that
I meant the course, not the
Mm.
trigger itself.
oh, the course.
Yes.
Okay. I just read that and went, what?
Yeah,
I'm
because
sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, it took like 2 whole seconds for me to go ebook and small course. All right.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
going back,
You were going to
Lily,
say
let me
something
ask you a question. When you get angry, okay, and I'm not asking you to step into that. I'm asking you to like remember it way over there. Like when you got angry, what does that feel like?
like my head's going to pop off.
Uh-huh. Okay, so you got pressure in your head. What else?
Yeah. Well, it's more than in my head, but
Right. So
it's
where else do you
definitely
feel
in
it?
my head. Uh, I don't know.
Pause for a moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't do that when I'm angry.
Right. There's that angry you over there. Just like stick your toe in there, and you can feel the stuff in your head. But what else do you feel? Is your heart racing? Do you feel pressure? Do you feel
Yeah,
heat?
my heart beats faster.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Cool. All right. So one way of approaching that would be, we live in Texas, therefore it's hot. Okay, unless you're a lizard. Okay. Imagine for a moment that anger is very similar to wearing a goose down overcoat in August.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. Just
Uncomfortable?
like that. Okay. So you got this goose down and zipped up and your blood is up in your head and it's like it's hot. Okay. So just enjoy that for a moment and then imagine you're going to just like unzip that coat and take it off and go stand under the ceiling fan. Like,
Okay, well, one thing I didn't say, and absolutely is true, is that my mind also goes crazy.
uh-huh.
So it would be a little bit difficult to slow it down enough to
Right.
consider doing something.
And you know what? I completely agree with that. That's why I always recommend practicing first when you're in a normal or resourceful state versus trying to do that, on the fly,
Mhm.
when when you're in the middle of a gang fight, that's not the time to sign up for martial art lessons. Okay.
Yes.
Quit stealing all my stuff, Helena. Actually, yes, steal all my stuff. Okay. So I've accidentally done part three is let's do a demonstration, which we've kind of done. All right. So let's go back to, that part of you that was angry before. You said your mind's going crazy. So if you were wearing an overcoat, sitting in your car with the windows up, and it's 105 outside, which is not that difficult in Texas. Okay. It's probably 120 or better inside the car. Would your mind be active then too?
No, I just get out.
The door's locked. How about now? It's like, yeah,
I'm
but
going to kill somebody when I do get out.
probably me. Yeah, but okay, but that's what I'm saying is that your mind is going to be active. You feel pressure in your head. You're hot. You're like, got to get out of here kind of feeling. And then some wonderful human opens the door, unzips the coat, helps you take it off, and hands you a Dr. Pepper slushie, your favorite,
I don't drink Dr. Pepper.
anymore.
All right. How
Okay,
about
but
ice water?
okay. So what I'm trying to demonstrate is going through the process and getting your physiology involved. Anytime that you want to do virtually anything, you will have a goal, or you want to accomplish something, or you want to change your emotional state, sitting there and thinking about it is not going to do as much or anything as fast as getting up, moving, getting your body involved. And that whole thing about me pantomiming you taking your coat off and stuff like that. Just that action gets your mind and your body together. Okay. Let's pick on another human. Hey, Helena,
How did I know that was going to be
are you
me?
still in England?
Yeah. We
Are we
are. I'm in the
okay?
joys and delights of a nature reserve that's really just
Oh,
stunning, and we are currently at 33 degrees. So yeah, I've been outside working all day. I've just run a 5-hour workshop. I've done a couple of calls, and now I'm here. So I've literally been sat in this space the whole
lovely.
day.
Hmm,
Yeah,
that's cool.
really good.
And you said it was what, 23? You said it was 23?
No, 33.
33, which is
30.
91 for us Texans.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
33. All
thank
right,
you,
thank you.
Raymond. I appreciate you. Yeah, really hot
Yeah.
for me anyway. Really
And you
hot.
guys don't have you guys don't have air conditioning, do you?
No, but I'm really pleased. We happen to be living, for anyone watching, we hop around houses. So every 3 weeks or so we swap to a different house because we look after people's animals. So you can see these two are very
Ah,
happily doing their things. Um, and this
yes.
house,
You
thankfully,
know
is
about
an
my
east-west.
affinity.
No,
You know
I
about my
don't.
affinity for weenie dogs.
Oh,
Oh, I did not know. Well, in that case,
he
hang on.
loves
You
him.
get a
Yes,
second.
But he won't have
absolutely.
any.
Yep.
She she
He's
No,
she is
not
actually
anymore.
she's actually part Jack Russell if you have those over there. So she's part
Hmm.
sausage and part Jack Russell. So she's a really sweet one. And she I am
Okay.
currently
So
her new docking
let's
station.
all right, let's go
So
back
yeah,
to
triggers.
your trigger and your anchor.
So my trigger is tone. And what you just said about physiology is that's where my whole set of anchors come in. Walking, breathing, moving of some kind. Some kind of movement is
Mhm.
always it. I also have an auditory anchor, which weirdly came up and I ended up lending to people in the workshop earlier, which is there is no rush. So I love the mantra, if you like, of there is no rush, and that I can wear that one. That just lives in me. And
Mhm.
there's another auditory one. So physicality definitely is an anchor for me, and the auditory definitely
Mhm.
comes back in as part of my anchoring mechanism. So I made up a song whilst I was walking. So I was doing some gratitudes a couple of days ago, walking around the Barossa here, and 108 of these later,
Uh-huh.
and I've made a song that literally is around feeling blessed, feeling thankful, feeling grateful, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I've created a whole new resource state in the last week. So that's really cool.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with James Tripp?
No.
Are you familiar with James Tripp? Okay, because he also, well, he's in Scotland, which
Oh,
he's in Edinburgh, and
nice.
uh, great fellow. His auditory mantra is, "I am the Zen calm in the middle of the storm."
I love that.
Hmm. And it's like I wish I'd thought of that. But anyway,
Huh.
it's a great mantra. So that would be that. Well, you've already explained what you're doing in terms of getting yourself moving and connecting your anchor to
Mm.
whatever it is that you're doing. For me, driving, because I have a couple of
Mm.
clients that I get and I go 3 times a week, and for me, it is a great opportunity. It changes the context. It does all of that stuff, and it gives me time to think, gives me time to process. And and not everybody does that. Some people go for a walk, or they go exercise, or they go do whatever it is. But I really, really believe that we ought to move our bodies more.
Yeah.
All right. So let's kind of bring this all together. Okay. Perhaps you have attended a meeting. You may have heard me mention the word intention.
Mm.
Okay. So, what I'd like you to do is write yourself an intention. I'll give you the words and you guys can reword it any way that you want. Okay. And it goes like the emotional state I will manage this week is blank. And my plan for my biggest trigger is blank.
And can you say that one more time? The last one?
My plan for my biggest trigger
Okay.
is blank. So, obviously, it would be great if you guys like took on this homework and did this every day for a week and, got back to me and tells that working. But we have some really, really skilled people on this, on this call.
Mm.
It just one of the things that I wanted to think about is if we don't or if we approach our emotional states like we would eating or like we would an exercise program and stuff, if you don't practice, you get what you get.
Mm.
And just like anything else, anybody here ever started a brand new workout program and then the following day you needed a wheelchair or handicap rails around the commode or it's because your body wasn't used to it. Okay. And we do this for a living. So talking about emotions and helping people, work through whatever experience that they're having and whatever it is that they name it, we're around that all the time.
Mm.
Therefore, to wit by proxy, we get good at it. But do you do your own work? It's kind of like self-hypnosis. I know some great hypnotists that never do self-hypnosis. Which, Raymond, that probably makes you crazy because you started how many years of self-hypnosis before you started actually doing hypnosis?
God, probably close to 10 years actually.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So, so you are a proponent of self-hypnosis. Me too. I,
Mm.
and I do that daily. I call it a nap, but I always give my brain instructions of something to do while I'm snoozing. Okay.
Mm.
So questions, comments, discussion about what we've done today. The short version is we all have emotions. What are we doing about them? Are we managing them or are they managing us?
It's actually really interesting. Sorry, I didn't look up to see whether anyone else is going to jump in then. Um, but what occurs to me, and it arose when you said that I went into response rather than reaction, and I realized that it made me think about, do I code that correctly?
Hmm.
Because I am so responseful, resourceful in response, um,
Hmm.
that actually, do I allow reaction to have its say? Because I think sometimes the reaction of the body. So this morning, so my example for this is this morning, um, the big dog decided to run after a deer. We ended up in essentially a bog, and which for those of you who don't know is like a nasty smelling, not very nice place that has watery bits as well as ability to fall over, and fear was definitely elicited in me,
Hmm.
and I needed to get myself in because I was definitely in reaction. I did that, stub the toe, make a noise, but actually I fell down on my knee and didn't know whether there were snakes in the ground and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so my mind went into
Uh-huh.
full reaction. And it took me probably 3 minutes or so to actually go, okay, so there is no rush. I can actually step really slowly. I can slow it down enough. But my job was to just hold for a minute. So it was
Hmm.
actually not to move because I was intent on moving. So
Hmm.
that's an interesting one. So I needed to stop myself, hold, and then go, and another, I'm quite auditory, can you tell? So the other thing that came up was I don't have to like it, but I do have to do it, which was like it was my response to go into freeze and to just stand there in the middle of the bog in the really, really hot sun with a dog. I was like, this is not tenable. So I was like,
Hmm.
I have to get my way out of here. I could see where here was, but I was not enjoying the idea of the journey at all. So as I literally had to do with every step that I placed really carefully on the grassy knolly bits, which I was
Hmm.
like, that's probably not going to be bog, so that's probably going to be okay, sort of like, so just literally reassuring
Hmm.
myself every step of the way. I don't have to like it, but I do have to do it, and I don't have to like it, but I do have to do it, which was really interesting that I tend to go into response more than anything, but when it is fearful, the
Hmm.
reaction was there. I
Hmm.
noticed I freeze, but auditory mantras get me out.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And you brought up an interesting point, and once again, I'll refer to the male population
Mm,
because we are so skilled at switching off.
mm,
Okay, and like an example would be, my lovely bride and I are we're at the grocery store. Okay, and we're coming out of the grocery store, and she's like, where's the car? Okay. In my world, I know where the car is. I have tracked everything in a 360-degree thing. I know,
And I so appreciate that.
and I know who is armed. We live in Texas. I know who is armed. I know who's a possible problem. I can see people who are loitering, and all of this happens in an instant. So
That's
if
true.
something actually did happen, my response is pre-planned. Now, what
mm,
might have to happen afterward, and it would be the same thing as like a car accident or somebody breaks their leg or whatever it is. All of that's pre-planned. I know what to do, and at that particular time, I'm not processing my emotions. I am processing my response. For most guys that are untrained, this is where it stops. And that stress or that fear or that fill in the blank, okay, stays in their body
mm,
and goes unnoticed, unacknowledged, on whatever it is. And then later on, when they have, ulcers or prostate cancer or whatever it is, that they're doing, they don't know why. Okay. So there's a great book you might want to consider called Their Body Keeps the Score. And the other thing is, once again, I'm going to refer back to self-hypnosis, so where you give yourself an opportunity. Yeah, and the way I do it, I like to do it in a humorous way. So when I'm contacting my unconscious mind, there's a hypnotic phone that hangs right here. And when I pick it up, it goes, maintenance. Okay. And I give maintenance instructions to clear out any of the stored emotions that I have not felt, not acknowledged, and not released. And all of that happens pretty quick as I lay my head down on the pillow. And in general, before the air goes out of my goose down pillow, I'm asleep, or at least part of me is. And I also use that phone. I can set myself up for a complete REM cycle in 17 minutes.
Nice.
You just ask, you just ask, can you do this? And they'll go, yeah, no problem. So you can give yourself, if you've got a lot to do and you don't have a whole lot of time to do it, so you have to work longer hours or whatever it is, so that now you're sleep deprived. Can you give yourself permission to get 8 hours of sleep in an hour or 2 hours? Yeah, yes, you can. And it is my opinion that through this conditioning that we're doing, that we can do marvelous, aka superhuman things that, you guys have been doing hypnosis for a while. It seems pretty common. But
Mhm.
this conversation might be almost too fantastic to somebody who hasn't heard of it before. So anyway, thank you guys. It was a stimulating thing. I didn't really have a plan today. I just thought we would see what happened, and it came out awesome. Intention setting. Yes, sir.
See you.
Uh, I go on a quick 5 minute tangent? Something I think you would
You can
find
go on
useful.
a quick 7 minute tangent if you wish.
You can go on any tangent you want.
It's something that I remembered when Helena brought up her language having a third less words,
Mm.
and how that
Hmm.
restricts the perception of emotion. One of the books that I credit with me being able to read people so well and having such a fine scale of emotion is called Making Comics by Scott McCloud. There is a chapter on page 80 that describes how you would, as a comic author, draw people's emotions. And I just sent a link in the chat if you're curious. And it's chapter 2. It's on page 80 of the book. I think it's page 87 of the website. And it talks about how emotions can be seen of as colors in some
Mm.
ways, and how, in the same way, there are three primary colors, there are six primary emotions that you can mix in different gradations and different strengths to get all of these different expressions. And reverse engineering that, I was able to find all these different subtle gradations of emotion that people have and don't even realize.
Is
And
this,
when
I'm
is this
sorry.
course going to be available, sir?
Well, this is
Soon.
comics, it looks like.
It is a
Oh
comic,
no.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it is a comic, but do you realize we are in the presence of genius? That is fantastic. Do you know,
Yeah.
do you have any idea how many people, particularly hypnotists, therapists, change workers, etc., could benefit from this perspective?
About the
That's
colors?
That
fantastic.
is beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah, about the
I don't
gradients
read
and
comics,
mixing
so
and
Mhm.
I know, but you paint, okay? So if you think
no,
of,
I'm
okay,
saying
have
if
you ever
there was
taken
a
a
book about it.
watercolor class? Have you ever taken a watercolor class where you start here and you go across and where the color begins to fade or gradient out or do a wash
Mhm.
and changes the color
Raymond, is
of
there
what's
a book
underneath?
about it?
Yes, the book that I got it from is called Making Comics. It is a book about making comics presented as a comic.
Great.
That's what I
And
thought.
Hmm.
yes,
I don't do comics. I don't like it. I just don't do it.
yeah,
I was
it's not
just wondering if he
everyone.
had a book that was really just
Well,
words.
He
Raymond,
hasn't written it yet.
Right.
yeah. Yeah. I was just going to say, so Raymond, you need to translate for Lily into a word-based book,
A
not a
book.
picture-based book. Thank you very much, because,
Did you
we all
write
have
that?
different
No,
preferences.
no, this was a man
Oh,
called Scott McCloud.
oh,
I read this book when I was 8, maybe,
yeah.
Amazing.
and
Tell him he
I've
needs to do a book.
I've
For
I've come back to it every couple of years since. It's
Right.
because
very
that's
interesting stuff.
interesting. Hmm.
Okay. So basically,
I
you're
am
gonna
I am
you're gonna have
so, so, so grateful.
you're gonna have to come over. I
Mhm.
will feed you dinner like we've done before,
Mhm.
and I'm going to put you in an armbar until you agree to write these two books. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, really, really, really good.
You,
And
you are
just for
you are doing
everyone, yeah, no, you are doing extraordinary work, like, and it needs to be translated into legacy type stuff that is available after you're not available, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Um, Whenever that is. And but
and
go on.
I was going to say, Raymond, you are doing exactly what I wanted, in which I told you I want to create a group of tier one humans where you fly higher and and further than I ever could imagine. And you're there. That is like, I cannot encourage you enough to take this stuff and run with it. And I'll be your first customer. Well
Yeah.
done. All
Really,
right.
really, really special. And Roman, I'm really happy to offer up my psyche in terms of if you need to actually test out how it lands on someone, I'm really happy for us to connect in that way, because sometimes you actually need to see it, hear it, and then have someone else go, oh, that was actually the bit that was really good, because that allows you to really codify it. So I'm really, if you need a body,
Yeah.
I'm really happy.
Absolutely.
And
Actually,
yeah,
Ray, we have
Mhm.
33 people that are on the mastermind list.
Mhm.
Do a free seminar or a very inexpensive webinar.
Mhm.
Have us attend so you can do my favorite thing. So you can get your nose bloodied and find out what needs to happen next. But yeah, I am 100% on board help, with whatever it is that you want to do.
yeah.
Awesome.
Cool. All
Amazing,
right.
amazing, amazing. And I just
Stellar.
wanted to, sorry,
All
Michael,
right,
I just
guys.
wanted to say, for anyone wanting language, and language and words for emotions, the nonviolent communication community have a list of needs and unmet needs and met needs, emotional language around those six core areas, Raymond, that you were
Mhm.
talking about. So they have sad and glad and all the different words for it, but they
Mhm.
actually translate them into something like 34 languages. So for anyone watching who actually speaks other languages, that's been invaluable to me when I've been learning language, because then you begin to have the vocabulary about everything. So that's what I was.
Outstanding. Great call today. I'll see you guys next week
Thank
and
you.
have a lovely day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you